Oh, hello. Can anyone hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. We've already got a comment. Woo! Okay, well, I hope you can hear me. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my latest live. And if you've been here before, you know I'm not very good at this waffling stuff. But yeah, so I felt like it was time to address the true crime world. Because I made a video that was kind of, well, I mean, how do you define true crime? Some people call themselves true crime. There's a lot of crime going on that's not really called true crime. Oh, we got another comment. Hi. Hey. Yeah, so I know it's like it's very popular. It's very popular. But I made a video, and to be honest, I'd sort of dip in and out of it. Like, I'm interested. I'm interested in documentaries. I'm interested in what really happened to people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a curious person. But since having my own channel and making a video about a true crime case, aka Nicola Bully, I realised, oh, okay, I don't really like this space very much. It's a lot of stuff going on here that's not sitting well with me. So yeah, I made a video about the Nicola Bully case because I'd listened to lots of other channels talking about it. And so I'd followed it, and I knew that, you know, something wasn't adding up. Well, a lot of things weren't adding up. So I made a video, and that was after the documentary came out. And I mean, all my videos, I put pretty much the same effort in. Some take me like a couple of days, some take me a few more days. It depends, but researching takes a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? And then it's like you research stuff, and then you have to like screenshot or screen record, and then you like record your voiceover. So you're like showing people your receipts that, look, I have done this research, and this is what I found out, and this is what I make of it. Like, that's what my videos are. With true crime, I feel like people just are very good at talking and not so much on the research. So then what you start happening is you start getting rumors, and then people start making more videos, and it just goes on and on. But yeah, so the Nicola Bully video I made, it's got nearly 40,000 views at the moment, which is like mad. Because I don't think it's that much better than any of the others. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so it would have been very easy for me to think, oh, right, well, I better make another one now. Do you know what I mean? Or let me move on to another true crime case, and I'll just be really popular. But no, what I started realizing was that, I mean, people just make content out of nothing. Like, there really hasn't been any more information to make a video about with regarding Nicola Bully. But what I wanted to say in the video was that there's a lot of misconceptions. Like, I don't think the police did an investigation. Like, they don't investigate when it's a missing person. So then what you see is where there's other like mysterious deaths, you'll see that there's people that have tried to say it's a missing person. Do you know what I mean? Because when someone's filed as a missing person, they don't look at it as a crime. So this is why we have so many like um weird stories where, you know, people say, well, they didn't seal off the crime scene. No, they didn't seal off the crime. They didn't seal off the crime scene because it wasn't a crime. It's like they only do that when they have a body there. Um anyway, so anyway, I thought I would like, I don't want to make this like too serious as well, because I know it's a serious subject, but mainly what I've been noticing is that after the Nicola Bulley case kind of wrapped up, a lot of people started talking about that Jay Slater. And, and I was like, oh, I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into it because I was really, really interested in the Nicola Bulley. Like, you know, I didn't listen to every creator, but some of the good ones I did. And then like I was just curious, like I said, so I started to do my own research. So I have my own opinions. But yeah, no, what I was going to say before we move on to the shambles that is Jay Slater, um, with the Nicola Bulley case, like they had the inquest. Okay, so I thought that, you know, some people were actually attending that and reporting about it, and I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions after that inquest. Do you know what I mean? So then we had I can't remember whether it was before or after, but I remember it was like Christmas of 2023 when Peter Faulding dropped the bombshell that he had seen her lying in the river. And I remember that, and I remember thinking, okay. So at that point, there was a channel called Break the Ice. And oh, I know as well, like, people are really funny about mentioning other channels. And like, if I mention another channel, like, I'm not trying to have a go at anyone. Like, I feel like everyone's just out here trying to do stuff. But I just can't help but notice that you really are taking the mick. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I would say it to your face. But the whole thing with Peter Fordham was they had this big build up with it. Like, um, you know, he was in his helicopter, and it was like, oh, okay, what's all this about then? And then they had like the interview, and then it was like a Q&A, and it went on for a long time, and I did watch it, but I just felt like there was something very orchestrated about it, and I just didn't really know what to think. I know there's a lot of people that are like fans of his, and they like think he's this great guy, and I'm just very wary of people that say they do charity work, like especially when you're flying around in a helicopter to do charity work. Like, that isn't adding up to me. But you know, whatever. So I did check out his background a little bit, and yeah, the other thing is, it's like, if you're going to interview someone on your channel and then they invite you to stay and they take you up in a helicopter and they kind of like love bomb you, I don't feel like you're going to get an unbiased report. I'm just saying. And so, yeah, there were all these little things that I was thinking, I'm still open-minded. But yeah, so I was just sort of seeing how that was all going to pan out. Anyway, I noticed as well that towards the end of the coverage, a lot of the channels started beefing with each other. And then there was all these like weird videos coming up about trolls and bullying and whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, because we were going through our own situation with trolls, as I've documented in some of my other videos. So I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So yeah, so I've been keeping an eye on it, and one of the channels that was around at that time was Eddie's Vinyl Break. So he did research. He actually did research. That's why I used to like watching his videos. There's a couple of things about him that I think are a little bit odd. I'm not even gonna lie, but yeah, he did some research. He found out about how dead bodies behaved in water during drownings and that kind of thing, which that's where I love YouTube. Do you know what I mean? It's so informative, the things that you can learn. And then he just sort of like disappeared, and then he kept deleting his videos, and then there was all these like that's what I'm saying, there was all these like things about trolls and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, because remember, I didn't have a channel then, so no one knew who I was. I was just at home watching people's videos. And then when I started my channel, which was May, I thought, I was thinking about the whole Nicola Billy thing, and I was like, okay. So when the documentary came out, I thought that was a good enough reason. But yeah, so I noticed that Eddie Vinyl had started making videos again, and it was because this Break the Ice guy who had interviewed Peter Fording and had this big announcement. And then it was like, well, the thing is, Peter Fording, you know, why did he just go on a YouTube channel? That was what I couldn't understand. Like, you know, it just sort of like came and went. And then you'd hear like one or two people were saying they'd seen the pictures, and it was all just a bit fishy. But anyway, so I started watching a few of Break the Ice's videos, and then I noticed that he was doing interviews with some very dodgy people. So I was like, And then, as I said, what's his name? Then Eddie, he comes out of the woodwork and started making videos again. This was like a few weeks ago, saying that Break the Ice had been bullying him, or someone had been bullying him. I don't know. But yeah, so I just started thinking, like, what is all this? Like, I just think, yeah, if you really care about these crimes and about these victims of these crimes, and you're genuinely invested in finding out what happened to them, why are you bullying other channels? Do you know what I mean? And also, I noticed that when I made my video, which, like I said, is nearly on 40,000 views at the moment, I posted links to everyone that I had taken bits from or referenced in my video. Do you know what I mean? I've done all my like source links and stuff, and none of them commented. None of them said, "Oh yeah, interesting. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. Either they never saw it, or if they did see it, they never said anything. I've got the comments here anyway. I'm going to read through some of the comments because I know it's been a while. It was actually 4 months ago, but I have 469 comments, so that's a lot. And I tried to reply to most of them, but you know, not all of the channels that I referenced and tagged, like they're not all massive. Like I'm just a little bit like, maybe even one of them could have seen my video or said something. Like, if you're that interested, do you know what I mean? But no. Anyway, so yeah, I noticed that a lot. I noticed that like when it comes to YouTube channels, there's very little like interaction. Unless you have to like join their community and be a whole part of it. Like, it's just weird because the thing is, like, we don't know who each other are. Do you know what I mean? Like, I speak to people, I reply to comments, but I don't know who they are. It's no one I know. Do you know what I mean? There's one or two people that I genuinely have seen face to face, but that's outside of my channel. So, but yeah, so I just thought that was odd. Do you know what I mean? And then, yeah, I just thought that it was just really toxic the way everyone just started arguing with each other and saying, well, you took this idea from me and you didn't credit me. And that even happened to me, yeah, because that video that I made, another creator that I am going to mention as well, it's called Aldon's True Crime. He's honestly terrible. He's absolutely a joke. He took my video and literally used screenshots. He used a screenshot of it for his thumbnail. That's how I saw it. And then basically took a little bit of what I had said in my video and kind of like repeated it. Did not reference me. Didn't comment on my video. So then I went over to his, so I then went into his comments to say, oh, did you watch my video? Like, as a joke. I couldn't post it. So I was like, oh, that's really weird. So I told someone I knew. So I was like, you wouldn't believe it. This guy's used my video and he's not even like giving me a credit. And I mean, I get it because he probably thought, oh yeah, she's just a little channel, so what's she gonna do? But you know what? It's still taking the mick because obviously I could have done a copyright claim, but I didn't because I'm not that petty. But yeah, I still she said to me, well, maybe he's like blocked the words my channel or my video, sorry. And funnily enough, yeah, he had, because I was able to comment something else. But yeah, so I realized then, like, oh, is this how it goes with these channels? Yeah. And then you see them all. So then, like I said, I moved on to well, I didn't move on, but I saw they was all talking about Jay Slater and I was like, oh, I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to get involved. And I've seen exactly the same thing happen there. Like, I started watching one guy and I just said to myself, the same thing's going to happen. And it did. It's like they've all started turning on each other. It's like they do not care about Jay Slater. But anyway, I'm going to get onto him in a minute. Oh yeah, I was gonna say as well, like, going back to the sonar image that Peter Fording saw. So when I saw that Eddie Vinyl was making these videos, by the way, I completely agree that break the ice. I just feel like he's completely, like, I thought he was an all right guy, honestly. I used to watch some of his other videos until I noticed that he done an interview with the Sean Atwood, and I'm like, red flag. And he has just done some really dodgy content, and I'm like, yeah, like, now you want me to trust Peter Fording? I was already thinking, yeah, something's fishy here with the helicopter ride and all the rest of it, and all Peter Fording's background. It just don't add up. And now you're doing Sean Atwood interviews, you're doing people that have been on Sean Atwood's channel interviews, like the dodgiest people. Now, the other day, you've gone up to the river and you've said that, you know, you think that there was an altercation or whatever, which is like, yeah, there's, you know, you're not the only one that said that. But, oh yeah, you've said that someone hid the body or something. Like, it's just a crazy idea. But yeah, you've now moved on to, you didn't do Jay Slater, but you've moved on to the fake Madeline McCann's daughter. Come on. Like, the thing is, I just want to say, are you being serious? Like, I'm not trying to be horrible. I'm not trying to start beef with you, but if anyone out there is watching this thinks that girl is Madeline McCann, sorry, I said Madeline McCann's daughter, that is not Madeline McCann, okay? Do your research. That girl, she was not even born in the same year as her, right? She's from Poland, Julia. I can't remember her name, but you know who I'm talking about. She is not. Yeah. There's just no way. Like, don't even waste your time. Do not waste your time listening to anyone that's trying to tell you. Okay. She was just put in prison last week, by the way, in the UK. But you know what? Those channels have been assisting in that, leading her on. You know what I mean? It's like, if you just had done your due diligence and checked, she was not born in the same year as Madeline McCann. On top of it, I believe she's done 2 previous impersonations. So this is her third go. So I just cannot believe that these true crime channels think that they go from doing one topic and then they just suddenly decide to pick up on something new and start suggesting that that is Madeline McCann. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know why everyone thinks this is okay. It's not okay. You know what I mean? Because then you think to yourself, well, I wanted to think you was a genuine person, but I really can't. I really can't think that you're doing these true crime investigations for genuine reasons if you're going along with that stuff. That's why I put her in the thumbnail, because there's a few people jumping on that bandwagon and it's just making you look very suspicious. But yeah, even some of the Jay Slater creators are having a go. But yeah, The other thing that I see gets talked about a lot is, oh, people are doing it for clicks and views. Okay, first of all, everyone's doing a channel for clicks and views. Like, you are not doing a YouTube channel if you don't want people to watch it. I'm sorry. It's like, unless you're posting a private link to a family or whatever, then fair enough. But most people do want people to watch their videos, like, otherwise they wouldn't do it. But like I said, you know, I genuinely want to make videos that I feel is good content. So I'd rather like wait for a subject that I feel strongly about or that I feel like is important to talk about. You know, most of my videos have the same kind of theme. It's like it's related to true crime because it's normally like the police haven't done a proper investigation. Companies are getting away with what I consider to be fraudulent activity, although it's kind of legal. Banks are doing it. You know, we're in a right mess with all this stuff going on. And what is and what isn't considered criminal, like that's what my videos are about. And also the fact that, you know, we as women do not do well still to this day. The true crime world, for example, again, another reason why wanted to talk about it is because it's extremely sexist. They're extremely dominated by men, and they all claim to like care about missing women and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like what's his name? Mark Williams Thomas. Like, I've done a video about him. That's another thing. Mark Williams Thomas, yeah. This whole true crime thing. If you look at like creators and social media, it's kind of like what's happened in true crime on steroids, because we've always like believed that journalists were telling us the truth, the police were telling us the truth. Well, some of us did. I know not everyone did. Okay. And so now what's happened with social media is that has all opened up. So I do believe that some creators do a better job of investigating. I do. Like I said, I've learned much more from watching things on YouTube than I have from reading newspapers or magazines. But yeah, Mark Williams Thomas, he is from the old school of journalism. He is not a private detective. The amount of people that I see calling him a detective, you know what I mean? It's like, just look him up. There was just a case last week, yeah, where a female policewoman from Lancashire Police she resigned, but she was disciplined because she had looked up private records, and she worked for Lancashire Police. And they made it into a Nicola Bulley story, but it wasn't really, because people were asking her to look up Nicola Bulley, and her phone had been taken as evidence, and she was saying, no, I can't look that up. I'm going to get in trouble. But yeah, so she left, she resigned, but she would have got fired. But Mark Williams Thomas, right? He did the exact same thing back in, I'm not sure what year it was, but it was a while ago. He is getting on a bit. And that was what he was doing. He was taking confidential information, especially in regards to pedo cases, and selling that information. He doesn't admit to selling it, but I bet he was. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he can sue me for saying that. It's just an opinion, but like, if you just do the maths, I think it's a bit obvious. Do you know what I mean? He's literally left the police, and now he's made a career out of being a consultant on TV, on true crime TV shows, and he's managed to manipulate his PR to make it look like he had something to do with bringing down Jimmy Savile, which is not true either. Like, he was literally, you know, like, not a main player, but he kind of wheedled his way into being part of a documentary about Jimmy Savile, and then he just went around taking all the credit for it. I didn't even know this until I did all my research recently. Do you know what I mean? But going by that playbook, like, then you have to start looking at some of these creators, because some of them, that's what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And I believe that the people that watch the channels, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people, I'm sure there's a lot of nice people that watch Break the Ice and think that guy is a genuine guy. Like, he does seem like a nice guy. Like, I'm not being funny. If I met him, I'd probably get on with him. But I just think that making content out of all the, I just think you're really misleading people. And yeah, that's why I had to stop watching. So I'm just saying, because they are really making money out of it. And yeah, people are giving the money, and it's like they're believing in justice for, well, they're believing in justice for Jay Slater. I don't know about justice for Nicola Bulley. I don't think that she will. I don't know. I mean, I think it's very, very unlikely that anything will change. Only if another crime happens that is somehow linked to it. That could be the only way. But yeah, I think that a lot of people that donate to these channels or sign up for membership is because they genuinely feel like they want justice for the person, which I get that, you know what I mean? But I just think that the creators are misleading. And I think that they're really putting their channel growth as a priority over genuine concern for the person in question. So what I was going to say is, I know I'm sort of jumping around a bit. Oh, we've got a comment. If not the viewers, who else is going to hold these messy creators accountable? Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and that's the thing as well. It's like, I noticed that a lot of times when someone criticizes someone, they're called a troll. And it's like, yeah, there are trolls around, don't get me wrong. Like, I've been on the receiving end of them. But not everyone that doesn't agree with you is a troll. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes the trolls come from the creators themselves, like, you know? So I just think that if you really care about these cases, other creators, why do you not interact with other channels? Like, I don't get that. Can anyone let me know in the comments? It's like, it's just really odd that, like, other creators don't want to sort of go out of their comfort zone. But anyway, I'm going a bit off tangent. I wanted to say that the reason why I wanted to make this video, okay, is because the Nicola Bully got messy enough. That did. But then, like I said, a lot of them moved into this Jay Slater. And I was like, no, I'm not going to watch Jay Slater. I don't want to get involved. I've had enough. But in the end, it's gone on for so long that in the end I succumbed. And I don't really know too much about it because obviously I wasn't taking an interest from the start. But the other day I thought, You know what? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look up Jay Slater timeline. And I did. Because I've watched a few videos up until then, and none of them ever make sense. And we've had like the last two guys that saw him alive, apparently, that went to the Airbnb. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about here. What's his name? Ayub Kasim and Rocky. Okay. So they started cashing in on it and doing like TikTok lives. The thing with Jay Slater as well is it's all happened on TikTok. You get no sense out of anyone, I'm telling you, okay? But if you look it up, there's no police reports. There's all there is Mark Williams Thomas. He's the one. He went to Tenerife and started the publicity gravy train again. That was the first thing that I was like, no, you're not getting me, because he was one of the first people to start publicizing the Nicola Bully case, and it's really weird as well, which no one has pointed out, is that in both cases Lancashire police are involved, and I'm like, do they have some kind of like hotline with Mark Williams Thomas that they just say, we need you to go up there and start some conspiracy theories? But yeah, Mark Williams Thomas, he went over to Tenerife, and like I said, he's not a private detective. He went over there because he's trying to get a new TV show. Okay. He's admitted it. He's literally said it himself. This is all from my own research. He's literally said, I'm having a really hard time at the moment trying to get a new documentary off the ground. It's so hard out there nowadays. Like, it's not like the old days. And so then that's why he turns around and has a go at content creators, because like they actually do a better job than him. But yeah, so if you look at the actual information there is about Jay Slater, is okay, so basically he was a 19-year-old and he went missing, and his family put out, same as Nicola Bully, his family put out a appeal to help look for him. So in this case, they were actually asked to go over there, and people from TikTok went over and joined in this search. Then, of course, when it all started kicking off, the TikTokers were blamed. But the weirdest thing about it is, if you look at the timeline, I literally Googled Jay Slater timeline. So the time between him going missing and his friend reporting him to the police was like less than 1 hour. So straight away, that's it. That's all you need to know. There's something very, very dodgy about it. But the point is, no one knows anything. No new information has come out. His body was found, and all it has been since this happened in June 24. It's just a bunch of creators arguing amongst each other. First of all, like sort of buddying up to each other, and the weirdest bits of like screenshots, videos from inside the club. There's been CCTV. None of it is credible. None of it makes sense. You can sit and watch Jay Slater videos and you will never understand what they're talking about. Nothing makes sense. And like I said, the last two people to see him in the Airbnb, they've jumped in on the act as well. And now they're having a go at everyone. And they're dodgy. They're all so dodgy. Like, no one's told the truth the whole way along. And so what's happening now is, I literally went on TikTok yesterday because people are posting TikTok lives, and then someone on YouTube's posting them on YouTube. So I'm going over to TikTok to see who they are, and they're like members only. They're members only videos. And I looked on this guy, and it was £7 to join his TikTok and see this video. And he literally, he went to Nicola Bulley's grave. This was literally 2 nights ago. He went to Nicola Bulley's grave in the middle of the night, and it was £7. And they do it with Jay Slater as well. And it's like, there's another boy on TikTok that's he was at the he was part of the original search. Well, that's what he says. So he was actually featured on Sky News, and saying that the family hadn't given him any expenses money, even though they advertised saying, we need you to come and help, we'll pay your expenses. So he's gone over there, then complained that he didn't get any money. Then the family said, no, we have given you money. Because this is another thing as well. It's like all these missing cases, they set up GoFundMes, which people are donating to. And then the public are saying, what's happened to our money? And then they're like, oh, we're being trolled. Da, 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 da. I personally think that if you're going to set up a GoFundMe, then the responsible thing to do is to let people know what you're doing with the money. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I just think that it is crazy that these people on TikTok are making a lot of money out of people subscribing to watch their videos where they are literally giving you nothing. I mean, they've got some front, you know, he went to the river as well. He went to the river in the middle of the night. We've already had Break the Ice do it a few weeks ago. Now we've got him doing it. The Jay Slater ones as well. There's loads of them. They sit on there talking hours. Did you see this? Did you see that? Oh, and another thing, I know we've got some comments I want to read out in a minute, but they say it's like he got killed over drug dealing, and it's like, I'm sorry, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know too much about it, but I know a little bit about it, right? I think that Ayob guy is probably a dealer, but if you're doing that over in Tenerife, like they have people doing that in Tenerife, you're not going over for a weekend. They're not going to book you for a weekend to do that. Not as a 19-year-old random. Mm-mm-mm. So there's all these like women talking about it and saying that that's what they were doing over there, da, da, da. And I'm like, nah, you really don't know what you're talking about here. It's so weird. Well, I have a lot to say about it anyway, but I do think that I'm talking more about Jay Slater now than Nicola Bulley, because I want to look at some of the comments on my video. But no, the thing I was going to say is, okay, the other thing I looked up about him, which I find so weird, is that he was involved in a really bad attack on another teenager, right? And so what I noticed was his mum went over to Tenerife, and she's trying to like downplay it. She's like, oh, it wasn't that bad what he did. He wasn't one of the main ones. He was, you know, he was just at the back. And I'm like, love, I know, like, look, I don't want to be horrible, but I don't understand why This Morning and Mark Williams Thomas and whoever else covered it is trying to cover up for the fact that this guy was involved with a bunch of little tow rags that they nearly killed a guy, a gang of them. And if you read about the case, like, this is what I'm saying, like, there's not too many facts, but this is factual. You can actually read a report of the court case that he was named in. They all went to court and they were all behaving like absolute little toe rags. Some of them tried to intimidate witnesses. The judge said that in court they were all laughing and giggling and not taking it seriously, or not at all. And like, they basically attacked this guy with machetes. Do you know what I mean? And it was a setup. I don't know what it was about, but people have said that possibly him getting killed could have been a revenge thing. And I mean, yeah, it's a possibility, like, but I just think it's really odd that so many people care about this guy in particular, after that was his history, that was his past. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is such a big red flag with the whole thing. I'm like, yeah. But anyway, let me look at some comments. What have we got here? Heard his disappearance was a hoax. I don't know about that. I mean, look, as I said, I don't know too much about it at the beginning. I definitely think he's a real person. I know I think if anyone's genuine out of that whole world, maybe his dad. I think his dad is probably the only one that's got anything honest to say. But yeah, no, I don't know if it was a hoax. Oh yeah, because I think there's been sightings of him, but apparently, according to this like 3-hour TikTok that was going on earlier, that's been debunked. But there is a body, and they are waiting for an inquest date. But I don't know. This is what I mean. There's literally nothing to go on. But you wouldn't know that for the amount of TikToks and YouTube videos that are going on every day. And they'll make a video about someone else who's made a video about nothing, and they'll be like, oh, so and so said this in their TikTok, what do you think? Right, what else have we got here? The fund me running. Yeah, the GoFundMe, dodgy business. It is dodgy business. It is dodgy business. Jay Slater GoFundMe is still accepting donations. Wow. I mean, I just want to know who's donating. Like, genuinely, have you looked up Jay Slater? Have you looked up his past? If you want to be a generous person, there are so many people in the world that could do with help. Someone said, all for the money. Yeah. I mean, I just find it a bit, it is funny. Like, I'm not being funny. The conversation I was listening to earlier, because I've had a bit of a rough time last week. Something's been going on with my arm and my leg, so I've not really been able to do much. So I have been sort of just a bit incapacitated. So yeah, sometimes you do just want to like watch crap on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I was literally laughing. And I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but it's like a joke. The conversations they're having that are going on for like hours, hours and hours about this stuff. And I'm like, you can hear as well, like TikTok lives are so distracting. Like there's all these little sound effects going on and music playing and so sent a rose and so donated. And I'm just like blown away by it all. But yeah, I just felt like I needed to come on and say something because thug life, yeah, absolutely. Wow, over 72K. That's crazy. And I mean, what are they spending it on? Oh, and another thing I want to say as well. This sounds really horrible because I know it's, look, all jokes aside, you know, a boy's died. But I don't think his mum has been honest. I really don't. I'm not being funny, but she hasn't been straightforward. They've made 72 grand. Yeah, that's a lot of money. But I also think she did an interview for The Sun, and I'm pretty sure she would have got paid for that. I'm pretty damn sure. The Sun pays, you know, and it was an exclusive. And that's the other thing, you know, where I'm like, use your heads. People are like, oh, they're scared to speak. Yeah, they're scared to speak because they've done an exclusive deal with The Sun. Do you know what I mean? And that's why people like I have can come out and say whatever he wants because he knows there's no investigation. You know, people are like, are the police going to look into it? Are the police going to? The police ain't doing nothing with that case. As far as I can see, the Spanish police, they were looking for a body, yeah, but they didn't do any investigation. There's nothing, I've not seen anything about an investigation. And they're taking it as a missing person that had an accident. And yeah, the English police, I don't know, but I don't think they're involved at all. And you know, I mean, it's kind of like we should be starting to understand what goes on with these things because this is what happened with Madeleine McCann, isn't it? It's like happened in Portugal, and then the British police get involved, and it's like, well, we don't really know. We don't really know what goes on. You know what I mean? It's like no one's really been honest with us about how those investigations work. But what we do know is opposing police forces do not get on with each other. They do not work together. It's a bit like opposing content creators. So I absolutely do not think that the British police are going to be investigating this. I really don't. Which again makes me wonder why all these creators are making all these videos and people are saying justice for Jay, justice for Jay. It's like I get watching the videos because I do it myself. Like I said, it can be like entertaining. There is one guy actually I've got to mention that I think's hilarious called Tales of Life. He is absolutely hilarious. But he did one about Nicola Bulley the other day, and I was like, no, you like, because a lot of people haven't looked into Nicola Bulley, like I haven't looked into Jay Slater, and they're like, oh, it was just an accident. And I'm like, the thing is, okay, I still can't believe it was an accident. I just can't. It just doesn't add up. But let's have a look at the comments anyway. And I think that's why so many people are interested in it still. What's this? Sometimes the algorithm pretty much forces them on us. Yes. Well, that's another subject that another theme that I keep bringing into my videos is that half the time it's not that you even want to see this stuff. It's like the algorithm is just making you want to see it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I'm saying, like when I first heard about the Jay Slater, I was like, no, I don't. And then I gave in because it just went on and on. And I did watch this one guy that, you know, some people do these videos every day or maybe two a day. And I did start watching this one guy, Duncan, and he does analysis. I like watching people do analysis. I find it interesting. But then he just lost the plot. He lost the plot. He started beefing with another guy that was apparently part of the search party. And then, you know, I looked at his YouTube channel and he just looks like, and like these people are just like awful as well. It's like, I just have a little bit more discernment about who you're getting your information from and who you're following. Like, it's pretty easy to tell if someone's a douchebag. Like, anyway, funnily enough, the first comment on my video says, I'm not gonna go through all of them. I'm just gonna go through some of them. It says, it's got the most likes. It's got 164 likes and 24 replies, and it says, I am convinced that Nicola's body was kept elsewhere and put in the river after it had been searched. I mean, if that's what you want to believe, I can't really, I don't like getting into arguments, but I just don't think that's possible. It's not only that, it's like you've got to think to yourself, like, it would be such a risk to do that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the river's right there. Why would you do that? I personally can't get past how did she get from, if she was over the other side, you know, 75 meters from the bench. Although I will say, actually, sorry, I meant to say this earlier, the guy Eddie, okay, he actually has an explanation for that. But also, I actually did ask him, I forgot to say this bit. So I went into his comments when he made some videos recently, and I said, like, I've been meaning to comment before, but I asked him if he would be prepared to do an interview with me about the sonar image, because he said he'd seen the sonar image and he declined. Which is understandable, because he said the thing is, he's seen all the backlash that Peter has got. But I'm like, the thing is, if Peter Faulding wants us to really believe that that sonar image really was her, first of all, I don't think the timing was very good. I will absolutely agree with that. He really did it at a difficult time. He did it at Christmas, which is not a nice time for the family. So I think that's a fair point that people were saying. Also, like I said, I feel like it was too orchestrated, the way he went about it, doing it with Break the Ice, taking him on the helicopter ride, you know, given the whole red carpet treatment. It's just not appropriate in journalism. And then not like giving us any more. Like, it's just like he's put that out there, he's left it there, and so now it just doesn't seem credible, and it's a real, it really bothers me that. But yeah, that really would answer a lot of these questions that people have, because, you know, like I said, that's got 164 likes. But then underneath the comment says that specialist would have found her if she'd been in the river. So do you know what I mean? Everyone's still arguing about it. And I did notice actually, because I get comments about this video even now. I didn't get one today, but I got one a few days ago. And someone said something like, it's really toxic speculating or something. Let me see if I can find it. Here. Why do people have to speculate? It's poisonous unnecessary. Well, I don't agree. I'm sorry. I don't think it's poisonous and unnecessary to speculate. I think pushing conspiracy theories when there's no evidence. Oh, it's my iPad. Get off. This is what I hate about ChatGPT. That was ChatGPT. It just it just suddenly like responds to me when I've not asked it to. It's really spooky. Oh my god, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, speculating. Conspiracy theories. Yeah, I think conspiracy theories, if they have some foundation and some evidence, then people like to call them conspiracy theories to kind of devalue them, discredit them. But a lot of conspiracy theories, like we know with COVID, turned out to be absolutely accurate. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think it's toxic to speculate. I think you just have to be really mindful and really thoughtful and choose your words carefully. But you know, I do think that the kind of what I don't like is that instead of accepting that someone disagrees with your opinion or has a different opinion to you, people have to go through each other, you know, like looking up personal details, making videos. Like, I know I've made videos about creators, I can't say that. But do you know what I mean? Like, I've never ever attacked someone about their personality or their looks or things like that. I don't think that's necessary. I think you can definitely put an argument for why they've lied, or you know, why you shouldn't trust them. But that's very different to like literally kind of trying to destroy them, which is what's happened. And it's all these men. I'm not being funny, but it's all these men are the bullies. They pick on each other about the most petty, stupid things, which I'm not even going to repeat. That's toxic. But I don't think speculating is toxic. I think we should be doing this. I think we should be questioning what the police actually do, because the point of my video was look at the police investigation. There wasn't one, okay? And someone even commented recently, did I miss the 40 detectives? And I replied, I do reply to people, you know, because I'm like, yeah, that's what they said at the press conference. They said, we've got 40 police detectives working on this. And I'm like, doing what? What were they doing? They didn't do. We were told they sent out letters to everyone that drove on that road. How did they know to do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't even make sense. And not one driver came forward. I'm not saying the police. Well, the police are not honest. The police are bullshitters, and that's why people are like, why did they bring in Rebecca Smith, because she was very good at like handling big cases, like where she, you know what I mean, she really knows how to like talk with authority. And that's my opinion, but this is what I mean, like this is where I think it would be really interesting to find out the truth. If we want to ever get justice for people, we need to start picking apart these kind of details, like the fact that the police did not investigate. They brought in partners because she was a high risk missing person. Those partners are volunteers. You can fact check all of this. We've got another comment. We are living media investigation in all the ways. Discernment is low. Yes, exactly. I hear it quite. Oops, knock the camera over. I hear quite a lot that people are using the ability to have critical thinking. They absolutely are, because either they can't be bothered, you know. I just don't think it's healthy to surround yourself with people that just agree with you. Like, I genuinely enjoy it when people say something like, you know, did you miss the 40 detectives or whatever? Because then it's like, yeah, we can actually have a conversation about it. But to just ignore people or say they're trolling you just because they disagree with you is not helping anything. Do you know what I mean? And I think that the problem with this as well is that I want to make the serious point of all of these content creators is that they are making it very, very easy for the authorities to make it harder for people to have what they call freedom of speech. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you can just see it coming, can't you? But yeah, I just think that we should absolutely be able to have intelligent and thoughtful discussions about this stuff. And it's frustrating. It is frustrating because I genuinely wanted to interview that guy, Eddie, about this sonar image, and he said no, he's not going to do it. Anyway, where were we? Yeah, so we've got this ongoing discrepancy where we don't know if she was in the river or not. There's a guy called Jason King. He wrote a very long, and people put a lot of thought into some of these comments as well. See, this is another good point. I've actually missed this one. KJH 278 279, sorry. She said, I thought that until this BBC docu, when Smith, that's Rebecca Smith, said she sat in the tent with Nicola. So I'll be honest with you, I didn't actually watch the whole documentary. Reason being is I do not watch TV and I do not watch iPlayer. So I watched what I could. Online through other people's content. But yeah, I didn't see that bit. So she said she sat in the tent with Nicola. She'd have needed a gas mask. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That convinced me the laughing policeman hauled a dummy up that bank, not Nicola. I mean, I did hear about that as well. And I've not seen that for myself, but I just think the police lie. I'm sorry. I think they play us for idiots. And then a lot of people don't believe that. So that's why we have all these questions, you know. I mean, most of the people in my comments are saying the same thing. So you think that all of those hundreds of people who are querying the official line on this case are mistaken in the suspicion that there is something fishy about the whole thing. The fact is that none of it adds up. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like we wouldn't be talking about it and speculating if it made sense, and it does not make sense, and it never has made sense. And it's like, of course the police are not going to come out and say they've lied. They're not going to do that, are they? So we just have to be like a bit more intelligent and start going, okay, well, I just don't trust that. We also don't trust the BBC either, said David Heaney. Don't believe a word from the BBC. That got 76 likes. Someone said, yes, you are right. I would not trust the BBC to tell me the time in a room full of clocks. And I mean, we just had experience of a NBC documentary being made. Like, if you've watched my video on the curious case of, so basically going back to this trolling experience, and when I'm talking about trolling, I'm talking about people that really write vicious, stupid, horrible posts. They dox people's real names, they send emails, they send texts to people. I mean, it's really, really, really unhinged behavior. So come to find out, they were all talking about this TV show being made that we, and a couple of us were like, well, I was like, they're not going to make a TV show about that, surely. Like, I didn't even think it was like a very popular subject. But anyway, come to find out, they had actually made a TV show, and it was on NBC via a smaller production company. So NBC is like a massive channel in the US. And yeah, I mean, having seen who they used to be in that documentary, like literally the most uncredible people who were like, as I said, doing this really unhinged behavior. There was no vetting, there was no fact checking, they did no research, they didn't speak to any of us who had been involved with these people. It just was complete garbage, trash. It was absolute trash as far as I can see. And I mean, as far as I could see, sorry. And so now I'm like questioning every documentary I've ever seen. I mean, I thought that about Netflix for a while. Like when you watch a Netflix documentary, do you know what I mean? Where they have the person sat in the room and they're giving their version of the events of what happened with a music scene or a club night or a disappearance or whatever it is. And it's like you've got to take that person's word for it. And it's the way it's set up and it's the way it's edited. It makes you think that they're telling you the truth, but after what I've experienced last year, a lot of people lie. They do. And it's more likely to be regular people that don't want to be on TV, that don't want to do YouTube channels, that don't lie. Because they're just like regular, normal people getting on with their life. So that's another thing to bear in mind. There is something very dodgy about that case. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag times 6. That got 128 thumbs ups. And someone's put there, just like Jay Slater case. Jay Slater did not do himself any favours and he went off into ridiculously dangerous terrain. See, the problem with that is is that it doesn't make any sense that a boy who would be out on a night out down in the main part of the island, is it an island? Tenerife. Okay, the main strip, where he was found is, according to IAB, 40 minutes, but according to most people, an hour's drive away. And it just doesn't make any sense that he would have gone to that part of it's an island, thank God. It doesn't make any sense that he would be in that part of it at that time of day, having just been at these two guys' house. That's the bit that doesn't make sense. People are like, oh, well, he could have had an accident. Yeah, he could have had an accident, but what was he doing there? Do you know what I mean? I'm sorry, I do not believe that he went back to their house and then decided to walk home. That just does not make sense at all. Netflix has an agenda. Yeah, and that's another thing that people don't think about enough, is like how closely entertainment has now started to resemble real life. It's like, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. Did Hollywood movies come first and then businesses decided to start doing that? Or do you know what I mean? Makes you wonder. Now, the other thing that my video focused on, my Nicola Bully focused, was talking of inconsistencies. Paul's story, and I've had my fair share of criticisms, trust me, in these comments. Someone said recently, oh, you're all attacking the partner, saying he's guilty, da 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 da. And it's like, no one said that. I'm sorry. I do not know what happened. What I do know is that he has never told the same story. And as someone said here, when he called the emergency services, why did he say Nicola has taken my two kids to school? Exactly. I mean, there's all these little things that he did that just were just very odd. And these are exactly the sort of things that the police as well do not pick up on. Do you know what I mean? They're just going by the book. And I remember there was that Gabby Petito case that was actually brought. Wasn't that like a situation where YouTube channels or people on social media actually were the ones that said, look, there's something not right here? Do you know what I mean? And in that situation, I know that they said the police need to understand better how domestic violence works, because originally they had thought that she was the one that was had done something to hurt her partner. Do you know what I mean? So here we are looking at what is clearly suspicious behavior. I'm not being funny. There's a dead woman here. I'm allowed to be suspicious if I want. You know, I've not said anything more than that. It's just there's just too many things with him that it's very, very suspicious. And he just doesn't give me heartbroken partner vibes. He also said the dog. And I heard that, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that he doesn't have that dog anymore. A lot of people have commented on that. He went into too much detail. Yes, he went into too much detail about weird things like his gym clothes. Yeah, he did. I'm sorry. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about this stuff. The other thing that really bothers me is the inconsistencies with the people that found the phone and the harness. I mean, I didn't really talk about this too much I think I did a little bit in the video. I can't even remember what I said in my video now. It was 4 months ago. But I don't understand why they were clear inconsistencies that were not brought to light at the inquest, but they were highlighted at the inquest. Why does the partner and the family not, why did he not have a problem with that? That's another big sticking point for me. It's like, do you know what I mean? This is your girlfriend. They weren't married as well. That's another thing. Like, but yeah, I mean, he just didn't seem to be he didn't seem to be angry enough that these people couldn't get their story straight about what time they found the phone, the dog, and the harness, and who found it. And do you know what I mean? We've got another comment. Why was NCA involved in Nicola's case, a missing persons case, who they were adamant fell into the river? NCA, who's NCA? Pathologists didn't mention Nicola's hands. Had she scratched anyone? Why not tell inquest? Oh, Nola Lola, hi. Love you. Oh, bless. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I wish there'd been more coverage of the inquest, to be honest. I just know that there was a lot of questions about the bruising. Like, that didn't make sense to me at all. The bruising was another big red flag. Do you know what I mean? It's like, when you put all these little things together, this is not straightforward. This is not straightforward at all. NCA, what is that? National Crime Agency. I'm not too sure what they do, so you'll have to help me out there. Does that mean that they only get involved when National Crime Agency? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just too many unanswered questions. And the thing is, there's just nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go with these questions other than have discussions online. So if anyone can help with that one, let us know. I recognise that name, 1423. I think you made a comment about something. I can't remember. It was quite recently, so you were a long way down the list. Okay, where else? What else? Yeah, the dog. The dog's a big question mark. Shaking his head. Yeah. Shaking his head. He said everything was normal. Well, I know, like, some people question body language experts, but you know, that's a fairly obvious one. Yeah, I'm not sure about her friend Emma. I think the friends as well, like, I think it's frustrating because with the Jay Slater case as well, like, they've really gone on the friends, and I'm like, okay, they're young, she's a young girl. I'm talking about Lucy. I can understand why they don't say anything more, but it's like, it's very frustrating because clearly her story was all over the place. And like I said, if you look at the original timeline, it says that she reported him missing within less than an hour of that phone call. So that just doesn't make any sense from there. Do you know what I mean? And yet there's been no questioning of her. And the only people that did report on it was this morning, and Mark Williams Thomas, and he never interviewed her, I don't think, not on camera. I think it was some other guy. I can't remember who it was. It was someone, she had her back turned to him. And like, the thing is, they just get a phone call to go out there and go and report on it. They don't do any like background info or anything like that, and then they don't follow it up. And so that's literally all we've had, is her BS story. But at the same time, I do feel bad for the friends, because I think at the time they're just doing what they think is the right thing, and then they don't realize how that amount of scrutiny and like people kind of questioning you, and I can imagine it feels very, very intimidating and overwhelming. So I do kind of get why she hasn't said anything. But yeah, I think the theories about Emma, I can't remember her name, the woman who let them use her house, I think that was a little bit over the top, really. I definitely don't think that she was involved. I don't know where that idea came from. I think it was I'm pretty sure it was a male creator. Yeah, wasn't someone trying to say that that was her hand? Like, I'm sorry, that was just a crazy, when he had that photo from the CCTV and he was like, "Oh, this is Emma White's hand." No, that was not Emma White's hand. I mean, it could have been, but you couldn't certifiably say that it was. Do you know what I mean? And that's the problem with CCTV, is it's sometimes the quality can be so bad. Um, you can't really say either way. Um, it still stinks, this case. The dog keeps well away from him. um, a lot of people think that there's something dodgy about Paul. Oh, someone said, "I'm glad I found your channel." I had someone today say they're so happy that the algorithm recommended my video. I do have nice comments. I have a lot of nice comments, to be honest. Yes, this person I agree with. I haven't seen him show any emotion, no concern in his body language. Yeah, I mean, I know people say body language is a pseudoscience or whatever, but I think that it's quite telling. It is. Come on. Isn't it something like 90% of communication is done from non-verbally? You know what I mean? Like, as humans, this is why critical thinking, interacting with humans is so important, because you have to use your human instinct. Like, this is what makes us human. A person's energy and a person's body language tells you so much when you're in their presence. Someone said, "I've never listen to a man so cold. When I first seen him on TV, never once showed any anxiety. Yeah, I agree. He was. I felt like he was loving his time in the spotlight. Um, and another thing that I've thought about as well is that um, he said about going home, which I think's really weird. Like, why would you need to go home? Do you know what I mean? But yes, now this is a very good point that's been made by a few people, is about the phone. And going back to the Gabby Petito thing, it's like, I mean, I guess legally, but they weren't even married. Do you know what I mean? And it's like they've given him back her phone. Um, so these are where it's like, well, what do we learn? Where do we learn? Do you know what I mean? Where do we learn how to do better? When all of the police protocol was come up with, there was no mobile phones. Do you know what I mean? So now we have to like try and think about this stuff. And, the police have no problems going through people's phones when it's a different circumstance. But when it comes to protecting a woman, oh no, we're not, it's fine. Here you go, sir. Have her phone back. Yeah, a lot of people are commenting about the lack of emotion. Um, oh yeah, this was the comment that I was looking at earlier. Policing 101 partner or partner is usually the perpetrator. They gave him her phone for God's sake. So happy to hear you remind the public of the acting passion. Yeah, he's an actor. You know what I mean? And I mean, by the way, like, if anyone thinks I'm being unfair, I'm not trying to be unfair. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I promise you. But the documentary could have been an opportunity to address these things, and instead it made it worse. And I think we have a right to ask these things. I do. Um, oh yeah. A male witness who was just behind Penny Fletcher. I do think Penny Fletcher, the caravan lady, I mean, she is like, how old is she? She's quite old. I don't know. This is another thing, going back to break the ISIS theory. I don't think she would have been able to overpower. See, this is where it's so weird, because it's like clearly her story was not accurate. None of them were. They were very shifty. But then I just can't see her. I don't know. I feel like someone threw her in, because this is the other thing as well. It's like there was never any signs of her going into, because when people are like, well, she could have slipped in, there's a steep bank, I've gone up there was no signs of her slipping in. Like, if she had fallen to the point where she had gone under the water, then there was no signs of it. Do you know what I mean? It was all these like obvious things that we talk so much about mad things, but that was just one of the most obvious things. There was literally no sign of her going in, which has always made me think, well, did someone like throw her in? A male witness who was just behind Penny Fletcher when she spotted the harness said that he saw the phone on the ground 2 feet from the bench. I said, yes, I remember when it was said the phone was moved to the bench. I do remember that, actually. They changed that story and Roger acts shifty when Sky News asks him about it. Yeah, he does. He's like, what, the phone? What is it? It's like, if you're telling the truth, then your story and your words come out very naturally. It's when you're not telling the truth that something's then it shows. It was first reported that Penny saw the harness and phone on the ground. She picked the phone up and put it on the bench because a phone is a valuable item. There was no lead, so she tied Willow to the bench. See, there's all these little things. It's like, why wasn't Paul and the family bothered about this? Don't make sense. The male witness, the man in black. Right at the beginning, Penny saw a phone on the ground, and as you would probably thought it would get damaged in the wet mud and picked it up to put it somewhere safe. I would put it, if I saw someone's phone, especially from what I understand, like it's a small little village, I would have probably picked it up and put it in my pocket. not, not because I was taking it, but to hand it in. I don't know. Like if you see someone's credit card, have you ever handed in a card? Wow, I'd forgotten about all these comments. The dog not going in the river, that's another massive one that no one's ever debunked. Hopefully the truth will come out one day. Yeah, I agree. I agree that it's very odd that she wasn't found with the amount of people out searching. But then again, it's like, why can someone not answer that? Like, there must be someone that could just say, well, that's because da 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 da. You know, this is why we're all speculating, because we don't know enough. Everyone tried telling the police, but they knew best and did nothing. Maybe they should take note now. Exactly, cut glove. But no, it's very, you know what it is? It's this corporate mentality. Like, this is the other point I was trying to make in the video, is like the police is not a public service. I mean, it is meant to be, but it's just very much a corporation. They use trolls, they gaslight people, they silence anyone that criticizes them because they are a corporation, and they spend more on marketing and protecting their image than on doing the job. That if they did do it better, we wouldn't need to criticize them. Do you know what I mean? Because I think most people really want to help the police. Like, you know, they are all we have at the end of the day. Like, Jason King. The Scream. I do agree. The Scream was the screams was overlooked at the inquest. That doesn't make any sense to me. Absolutely makes no sense. Like, it just is all so tied up to make it look like their narrative is correct, and they've just ignored things that are like blatantly not part of their story. So basically Jason King has written a very long explanation of the body was returned to the river story. I mean, look, I'm not here to tell. I don't know. I wasn't there, but I just think that it's unlikely because it's just too much messing about. Um, so many comments about Paul's behaviour. Was there anything on Nicola's phone between her and Paul? We will never know. Yep, I think as well that was another thing that really stood out was his telling of, you know, when he felt like something wasn't right, then he called her, then he WhatsApped her or WhatsApped her, "Are you lost?" Like, it just is a weird comment. There's a weird message to send to someone you've been with for a long time, I think. Do you know what I mean? It's not like she'd just gone out and said, "I'm gonna go and get something from the shop and then come back." Like, she was just out. Like, and we saw the way she left as well. I'm not being funny, but I thought she looked like she was in a huff. I definitely did. She did not say, "Love you, bye." Do you know what I mean? It was like literally store zoom. She couldn't get her foot off that brake. She didn't even speak to him. You know what I mean? And I've had people go, "You don't know what it's like." Yes, I do know what it's like. Thank you very much. They just didn't look like they were on the best of terms. Um, oh yeah, that was what Eddie's video was about. Like, whether the carb been. Someone said the carb been part for like 3 months or something. Like, I don't know about that. I was very, people do go a bit over the top about really small details that don't make any sense. Like, you have to think about things making sense really with this stuff. I do think that. Um Another girl has gone missing. I mean, this is the thing, you know, this case got so much publicity. And going back to the creator thing, it's like, there are so many cases out there. You know, look at, I think one case everyone should be talking about is this poor guy in San Francisco, Suchir Balaji. That is a true crime case that every single creator should be looking into. Like, because it affects everyone. AI affects all of us. That's why I try and make videos about it, because it's really, people don't understand how dangerous AI is. OpenAI, the person who owns OpenAI is a psychopath, a liar, and our government is invested in that company. And that guy has just been killed. He was 26, I think. And that is someone that is really worth supporting. Like, he was a whistleblower. I don't see any true crime channels talking about that. None. And there's so much evidence. And his parents as well. His mum has done such an amazing job with her collecting of the evidence. She's contacted all the people in authority to try and get help. And because of like political corruption and corporate corruption, she's getting no support whatsoever. So yeah, I find it very frustrating that people have these weird priorities with what they want to make content about. Because I've made like, I think 3 videos about it, and they just don't pick up in the algorithm. It's very frustrating. I mean, you know, but I don't have a big channel. You know, there's plenty of people out there that even if their videos don't do amazingly well, it's if everyone got to know about it, you know, that's how you build interest. Oh, okay. I knew I'd seen your name before, 1423. All the comments blaming Paul. Yeah, I did reply to you. And I think I've responded to your I think I've responded to you here again. I hope you can see me. This is why I like to come live. I want to like show myself who I am. I'm an approachable person. I try and like speak to everyone. I try and get on with everyone. And I think it's healthy to discuss these things. I think it's healthy that we don't all have the same opinion. So I hope that you've understood why people are looking at Paul, because you know, it's just a very obvious it's just a very obvious thing for us to do as women. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it a day because there's still a lot more comments to go through. If you want me to do more, let me know. But yeah, as I've said, true crime channels are a mess. Just want people to understand that you're paying these people, they're not going to find you out any more information. You're better off doing your own research and putting your money into a better cause. That's my opinion. I mean, carry on supporting them if you want, but they are taking the mick and they are having people on like the fake Madeleine McCann, and that should tell you what you need to know about their whether they're genuine or not. So in the meantime, thank you everybody and have a good night.